We weren't satisfied with Pacific Power and Light. We had difficulties with them.
People were talking about the high rates. I guess they had been cheaper sometime before.
In '65, we built a new home. Our first electricity bill was $187.
It was a simple idea, really. Rural Lane County residents wanted better rates, better service, and ultimately a say in the future of their power company.
A group of farmers that got together through the Granges and all that stuff, and they were very concerned about the situation with the electric supplier.
It was Ralph Earl of Pleasant Hill, Oregon, a Grange member who initially floated the case for starting a new PUD. The Grange was an incredible impetus for starting the PUD too. The Grange is made up of salt-of-the-earth farmers who are very, very smart and frugal, as was Ralph.
He really did the initial research to find that it was a possibility for a public group to take over a private power company, if the public voted to do it.
People are always saying, well, we don't agree with this or something else, and if they own it, then they've got a chance to do something about it.
It was very expensive. It was like about almost twice as expensive as, say, eWeb. Plus, if you had an outage, you'd call up and they may say, well, we're sending a crew down from Albany. Well, that's going to take a while just to get here, let alone to fix the power.
There was a formation committee, and the formation committee was always doing this and that, trying to gather donations, gather support, garner whatever was necessary to ultimately take over the utility district from Pacific Power.
We simply were not prepared for the amount of money that PP&L was ready to spend, and they did in ads and several editorials in the local newspapers, and it opened our eyes to politics and the real power shakers, the movers and shakers up in Salem. And, we've been politically naive up to that point, but PP&L very definitely swayed people.
As long as the cost and the quality of the service are competitive, I think it goes against the fabric of what America was built on, to wrestle it away simply because people would like to think that it belongs to the people.
Facing opposition, a major funding disparity, setbacks at the polls, and PP&L's influence testing the strength of the movement, EPUD organizers realized that a political boost was necessary. A powerful supporter from behind the scenes was asked to step forward. Dick Hyman, former Speaker of the House in the Oregon Legislature.
When we would meet with him, he was always terribly, terribly supportive and terribly helpful to Ralph behind the scenes in writing ballot titles and so on. A very, very wonderful guy. I approached Dick and I asked him if he would consider running for the board. We had an election coming up. He smiled and kind of laughed, and he said, yes. And I said, I think we need someone of your caliber, your credibility, someone who's well known in the area to join us. And that he did. It made a huge difference.
We are an example to the rest of the country that, by gum, if you people out there want to own your electric utility, have a daily voice about how it's operated and what it charges for electricity, take it upon yourself.
He just dove in the deep hole and spent all, energy and time and even money to get it started.
Having been Speaker of the House, his name carried a lot of weight. When you went to see somebody and you had the former Speaker of the House, you got a little different acceptance. And I think that was very useful.
With Dick Hyman now highlighting the board, the political battle would change as well as an increase in public support. To build on their newfound momentum, Emerald's board of directors knew that hiring an innovative general manager was necessary.
They had overcome some very big political and legal obstacles, and so they were in a place where they could hire a general manager. And they did. And that was Lon Topaz.
As the former director of the Oregon Department of Energy, Topaz was very familiar with the EPUD movement, having held hearings on the issue.
He had shared the struggle with us as director of the Department of Energy, so it was like he was a liaison between our committee and EPUD becoming a real live entity.
He had seen a lot of what had gone down legally before.
Very visionary thinker. A lot of what the utility is was based on Lon's initial ways, from employee benefit packages to how you treat customers.
He was a good leader for EPUD back in those years, getting us started, getting us established in the community, getting, the respect we needed.
I was just so struck with this person's intelligence, first of all, and his broad view of what was necessary, and his interest in the public good.
Just this great advantage of being consumer-owned, consumer-directed, small enough to be able to deal with your problems, communicate with the employees, and all the rest, and produce a product. And that product is service, not really electricity, it's service.
With Lon Topaz in place, the board now focused their efforts on securing the financing to purchase PP&L's distribution system. This came in the form of a $72.5 million bond election. It was now up to the voters.
The smart thing that we did with our financial advisor's suggestion, I'll never forget this, was that we said, and we're going to schedule this election as a special election in Lane County so that there will be no other competition on the ballot, so that people will be focused on this issue alone, for good or for bad. And my gosh, we won. I mean, we just did beautifully.
With capital now in hand, the final hurdle to cross was PP&L's continued reluctance to sell.
They did not want to sell. They said it's not for sale. That was what was in the paper day after day, week after week. We are not for sale. So when they were somewhat forced to go into negotiation with Emerald PUD Board of Directors and their newly acquired general manager, Lon Topaz, they thought it would be probably a slam dunk that they would say, no, this is not going to happen. Well, they were dealing with the wrong people, or the right people in the case of EPUD, because they ultimately were able to strike a deal and buy that distribution system.
After 13 years of planning, research, permits, and tireless dedication, EPUD gave the power back to the people on November 17, 1983.
Okay, at your time we're ready to start the switching procedure. I have 1300 present time. Okay, understand we have permission then to go ahead and start the switching.
The day of switchover was the most exciting and most terrifying day of anybody who had anything to do with Emerald PUD.
Everyone was at different substations, and then there were handheld radios at that point, and this is the hour we're going to make the switch.
It was 2 o'clock. The switches were flipped and everybody cheers.
I was almost freaking out because I was thinking, we're going to flip this switch. I hope this works.
All the media was there. We had cake for anybody who'd like to walk in and have some, and all those old Grangers came and pounded themselves on the back, each other on the back, kissed and hugged and said we did it.
I just found myself drinking in the look on Ralph Girl's face. Just utter joy and happiness and fulfillment.
The switch was pulled. and within 2 hours we had our first outage.
This would prove to be the first of many challenges for the young company.
After we got law in place and, we were able to negotiate with Pacific Power and Light to take over their territory, we inherited a mess.
Pacific had seen the writing on the wall years probably before and had stopped essentially doing any maintenance on that system.
A lot of the poles were rotten, a whole lot of tree trimming. We had a lot of trees in the lines themselves that had to be trimmed down.
These early challenges were not limited externally. There were major tasks going on internally as well.
Here we are, it switch over, and then immediately we become responsible for the next month's bill. And I was thinking, oh my God, how can they in the finance department possibly do this?
The first few months were very chaotic. We worked long days. We probably worked 10, 12-hour days, just entering all the data, entering all of the meter reads, trying to get the first bills out, which got out late. We started operating in November and the first bills went out in January, which isn't good when it's a winter bill. So it was just chaotic getting all of the data into the system, figuring out how to read the meters, what routes the meter readers would go on, because we didn't really have them sent to us that way. So it was just creating everything from the ground, and just the camaraderie of everybody just working hard. Everybody was working hard, but we were all happy. It was fun. It was good times, even though it was hard work.
That hard work would grow to include such things as valued programs for our customer owners and a beautiful state-of-the-art facility. Beyond the walls, however, lies Emerald's key to success: exceptional customer service. Whether it was 1983 or today, exceptional customer service has carried Emerald from an unproven startup to the innovative leader we know today.
Providing great customer service means that we're listening to the customers. We try to do it in the best way we know how, and to do it the way we would want it done. And it is very rewarding when customers take the time to write us letters and write us emails, and often surprising, because today it's really uncommon for people to take the time to write a letter to say thank you. You get the, thanks for the time, but to go above and beyond and write a letter, that I don't know if the customers even know how much that means to each of us, because that gives us motivation to continue to provide for them and continue to do a good job, because they're letting us know how much they appreciate it.
It was through blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of fun going on this journey to create Emerald. And I would hope that throughout the coming years and throughout time that people remember what it took to create this utility.
Richard would be very proud of how the PUD has evolved, and hopefully that it will continue to serve the people as he visioned.
It didn't rely on one general manager. It didn't rely on just one group of employees who, had been vaccinated with the People's Power vaccine, and it's all about the customers. General managers have come and gone, and employees have come and gone. It continues to be just a very wonderful, viable organization.